Swift Factory. My name is Patrick McKenna. I'm the Director of Sustainability and Real Estate. I've been working here for about 12 years, and the Swift Factory is a former gold leaf manufacturing facility. It started in 1887 in the little White House here on the property. It grew to be one of the largest gold leaf manufacturers in the world at one time, employed over 300 people in the community here. There's about a dozen state capitals around the country that have had a Swift Factory Gold on their domes. Here in Hartford, Bushnell Theatre, Coal Factory, all have a Swift Gold on them. Back in the day, gold was used on the sides of fire trucks, embossed letterings and Bibles and encyclopedias and signs. That was all real gold. The building closed in 2005. It was in the Swift family for 4 generations. Matthew Swift died in 2005. The building lay vacant until 2010. They pulled a demolition permit. They were going to demolish the building, having built about 25 Habitat for Humanity homes on their parking lots. The local community organisation, the NRZ, and the Hartford Preservation Alliance were concerned about losing this historic building, and so they reached out to our parent organisation, Community Solutions, to see if they'd be interested in taking on the project. Community Solutions was just finishing a project in downtown Hartford at the corner of Asylum and High Street. And so they met with Roseanne Hegarty, and she decided to take on the project. First thing she did was to reach out to the neighbourhood to understand what they needed and how the Swift Factory could help. And we heard that people were concerned about youth engagement, public safety and jobs. And so we decided to make that our focus for the work, and so Community Solutions' mission was around ending homelessness. And so, but there's no housing here on site because the community said that they wanted jobs and opportunities for youth. So the building was donated to us in 2010. Took us 8 years to raise the funds and find the tenants. We moved our offices here in 2014. We started construction in 2018. We opened our doors in 2020. So we've been open since 2020. Here on site we have a co-working space that we run ourselves. That's the space that we're in right now. We have 12 offices. Harriet Home Health is here that does home health care, but also has a healthcare academy running CNA training classes. In our lobby here, we've just opened a little coffee shop called Grounds for Change, which is a social enterprise working with local youth to train them in the coffee and tea industry. Upstairs we have a series of small little offices that we can kind of take a walk and have a look at. Through here you'll see one of the original vaults in the building. We have a meeting going on next door, so we won't be able to go in there, but this was where they kept their gold back in the day. So up on the second floor here, we have a series of little offices, some phone booths if you want to take a private call, bathroom. One of our businesses is a video editor, New England Video. It's not any video, it's any video. It's their slogan. We have Urban Arts Academy, which does gaming. Success House works with re-entry population. Yes. There's a little band that uses one of our offices. A plumber, MCM Plumbing, is a local plumbing business that did all the plumbing work in the original factory building here. We have a new business that moved in. Michael Seeley does translation and transcripting. There's an accountant, a real estate agent, and a church that has an office here. They also use the space across the courtyard as a worship space. And then we have a little co-working space here. So these spaces, all of our offices are occupied. Majority of them are occupied by local kind of black-owned businesses. Nice. As we walk past, you can have a look down at the courtyard. The courtyard is in between all of our buildings. And there's this old fire escape that connects the two that we've closed off for obvious reasons. but that's a great space in the middle of the building to have your lunch or have a meeting. And as part of the coffee shop, we just planted some herbs down there that will be used to make tea that will be served in the coffee shop. The tea and coffee that we use in the coffee shop are kind of come from local businesses. One of the businesses in our kitchen is Obel Coffee, which imports coffee from Jamaica, Blue Mountain Coffee. So we're using that in the coffee shop, and then Samad Gardens.
Sarah Rose, Samad Gardens out of Bloomfield, she does the tea.
Yeah. Some additional offices here. North Hartford Partnership has 2 offices. This is Brenda, our executive director. We have a little podcast studio sponsored by NBC. And then this is our main kind of meeting conference area. So these 2 spaces, ground and first floor, are our co-working space. So we'll head downstairs and check out the rest of the building. So the campus is quite busy this summer. We have a number of different summer camps going on. Wake Up Wednesday, run by the NAACP, is using our flex room. Hartford's Pride, drum and dance group in the neighborhood, runs a camp in the basement. And then we're running a Grounds for Change program. I should say Tenée's running a Grounds for Change program upstairs with 8 local youth. This is the courtyard that I mentioned previously. So again, kind of just a great space to have lunch, have meetings, kind of relax in between. We like to reuse things from the factory. This is one of the old windows that we've repurposed as a notice board in our mailbox. This is one of the old machines in the factory that was used to melt gold that we have on display. And then in the parking lot, mentioned already the little White House where the factory started. It's now being used as an elementary school by Community First School. In behind that, the Grey House, as we call it, is used by Build a Better You, and that's an organisation that does behavioural health and martial arts. And then the little white garage is used by an organisation called Gardeners to Farmers, to try to, as they say, turn gardeners into farmers and make their business professional. At the far end of the building here, Craig Capital Region Education Council have a daycare facility. It's a Head Start. They have 85 spots here, and they're hoping to expand on the 2nd floor. Huge demand for daycare spaces in the neighborhood. This is into our kitchen space. So it
smells good in here.
Yeah. It often smells good. We, as I mentioned, our focus was around trying to create jobs in the neighborhood. We wanted to try and bring jobs that people in the neighborhood would be able to be employed in. So one of the sectors we focused on was food businesses. So growing sector of the economy and accessible to people who may not have finished high school or other barriers to employment. We looked at a few different models around that, large shared kitchens, but we settled on this model, which has a series of 10 little privately owned kitchen spaces and then 1 shared kitchen. So in this space, we provide all of the equipment. The businesses who use this can use this as kind of extra space. It's also accessible to other businesses who might need a shared kitchen for a number of hours a week. There's also a shared dishwashing facility here, again for all the businesses who work here so that they don't each need to have one of these in their spaces. The businesses that are here, all of the food that's prepared here is consumed off-site, so unlike Parkville Market where it's all retail and the majority of the food is consumed there. So we have a caterer, Tony's All Season Catering, does Jamaican catering. Bless Kitchen, it's a takeout restaurant, so a lot of Grubhub and Uber Eats orders that are brought out. Willow Vending has a number of booths at People's Bank Arena, so they kind of use this to do the prep for their for their events at the People's Bank Arena. There's Keely Park Sustainability has a space here. They're working to try and get fresh food into Hartford schools. So they work with a number of farmers to try and do that. There's a shared walk-in cooler and freezer. Every business has a little cage to keep their stuff separate. We have a guacamole maker here, Pop's Guac. Her guacamole is available at local farmers markets, but also at Geisler's supermarket. Time Warp Food make hot sauces. There's a dessert maker here. Anna's Artisanana. Restaurant. Is a vegan Jamaican. Again, farmers markets, Geisler's supermarket, but also kind of order online and we'll bring it out to you. And then we have a coffee maker, Oval Coffee, who provides the coffee for our coffee shop. This is Sachet, sells their products online, but to a lot of local coffee stores as well. So those are our food businesses. All of our kitchens are occupied. There's a huge demand for kitchen space in the area. Some bathrooms. The rest of the building is kind of in a more raw kind of condition. So this is the space. The rest of the building kind of looks like this. We've replaced the windows. We added some sprinklers, and then we're kind of waiting. We replaced the floor. We're waiting for the next phase of development. This area is being used by a church at the minute, Fresh Start and Deliverance Ministries, and they're using this on Sundays. We're getting ready to build this out for them. The rest of the building here, we don't have a specific tenant committed to this. We're looking at a few different options, including school, some daycare. We've also spoken with some gyms and financial institutions as well. This is the gold leafing department. So the gold was brought out of the vaults here. There are 3 vaults stacked up on top of each other, basement, first and second floor. The gold was melted and rolled out into a ribbon that was 1 inch wide and 1/1000th of an inch thick. It was cut up into 1 by 1 inch squares, layered up on parchment paper, and brought down to this end of the building where there was a series of mechanical hammers that beat the gold until that gold spread out and became 3/millionths of an inch thick. So that was the gold that was used on state capitals, picture frames, churches, all of that kind of gilding work that was done. This was kind of the main office area, and then this is the Big Daddy Vault, where they kept the raw gold. And as I say, there's another one of these in the basement where they kept their documents, and then the second floor is where they kept the raw gold when it was finished. So on the second floor, we're looking to build a workforce development center. So to try and encourage better paying jobs and get people in the community connected to those better paying jobs. Some of the things that we're focusing on is kind of healthcare. Harriet Home Health already runs a CNA training program here. Manufacturing, a medical building, green technology as well. We know that's going to be a real focus in the future. As part of the refurbishment here, we tried to make sure that we had energy efficient systems, so all of our lighting is LED. We have heat pumps and a condensing water loop that circulates around the building. The building is historic, so we were restricted with some of the things that we could do to the building fabric. But where we had opportunities, we added additional insulation on the roof. And then we also tried to make sure that we managed the stormwater on site as much as possible. So we have a bioswale that runs down the side, and we tried to kind of demonstrate kind of sustainable ways of managing stormwater in an urban setting. And then, we also believe that kind of saving and reusing a historic building and not just discarding all of that embodied carbon is kind of a sustainable thing to do. One, in terms of the building materials, but also kind of in the historic, cultural kind of connection that there is with building in a neighborhood. Here, these are some of the funders of the project. Lots of state, local, national, federal organizations that help with that. We're hoping to bring additional childcare spaces, workforce development spaces, but also kind of an energy resilience hub. So working with Neighbourhood Housing Services of New Haven and with Bridgeport Enterprises, is that right? To look at resilience and resilience hubs in our 3 cities, and then working to try and make Swift a resource hub, look at potentially putting in a little microgrid with solar panels so that in the time of power outage people could come, charge devices, get some air conditioning, and maybe have some food distribution from the kitchens. And then also, trying to provide education and resilience and sustainability, in normal times. We compost here on site, we try and provide education around that. We've provided kind of workshops around heat pumps and in stormwater as well. So trying to be kind of a resource for the community in terms of sustainability and energy efficiency and resilience. We've kind of seen from weather disasters, public health disasters that communities like North Hartford are on the front line when there's a time of need. And so trying to make the community more resilient to better adapt when the next disaster comes.
How did you get involved with all of this?
So I'm an architect. I worked with a local firm here in Connecticut, worked on private schools and universities, but wanted to work on projects that had a little bit more of a social impact. And so I looked to do that through architecture, but wasn't able to find a firm locally that was doing that. And so kind of left architecture to work for Community Solutions at the time because of the Swift Factory project. Because I felt that was a project that was going to have an impact in the community.